So this is something that we've observed is the case for some people, and that is the issue of money. Weddings can be very expensive.
Very, very expensive.
They can be. And if you look at the statistics, the average wedding apparently costs about $26,000, which that is not how much we paid for our wedding.
Nope.
And we had the wedding of my dream. I was like the bride who wanted everything a certain way, and I had like my vision of what wedding I wanted, and I loved our wedding. Like, our wedding was beautiful, and we definitely planned it on a budget, and it's totally possible. And I think that we see like these movies where there are all these extravagant weddings and Pinterest boards. My Pinterest board had things on it that I kind of like knew like that's not realistic, and but you have all these visions of this is what a real wedding is, and maybe like that's really not even what you want. So something to consider is you can plan a wedding on a budget, but it doesn't have to be an expensive wedding, and you may not even want it to be as extravagant as you think it has to be, if that makes any sense.
An extravagant wedding is not a bad thing if you're someone who has waited for good reasons and has money to spend on it and wants that, then go for it. But yeah. I think the point we want to make here is that the not having enough money now for the wedding you want shouldn't necessarily be your one reason that you're going to wait. If you have the person you want to marry and you're just waiting because of the money issue.
Yeah. Reach out to friends. Like, we had friends help us out with a lot of the aspects of our wedding. People contributed a lot, and another thing to keep in mind, and this may not be up your alley, it may not be what you're interested in at all, but something to consider is if you have like a wedding that's not maybe as planned and elaborate as you would want, what a lot of people do is later on in life, like for a 5th or a 10th or whatever wedding anniversary, they throw like a huge party, and they have a lot of time to plan for it, and they make it like exactly what they would want it to be. So that's something that's kind of fun, and I feel like it would be really fun to have spent those 10 years with that person and be celebrating that at the same time. Like, be celebrating like we've been together for 10 years. And so it's something to keep in mind. I don't know if we'll do that because we loved our wedding.
Yeah, our wedding was amazing on a budget.
Yeah. So we'll probably do some videos touching on the different things we did to plan our wedding, and different ways
we saved money and advice we have on that subject, and so look for those videos in the future.
Yeah. So the last kind of thing that we want to talk about is sometime, and this like hopefully won't be too touchy of a subject, but it might hit some nerves just because there's a lot of, I mean, you'll see why. So so a lot of times, especially for young couples, sometimes you'll get like a lot of resistance from your family, from your friends, when you are telling them that you think you're ready for marriage and you think you found the right person. And something that we want to say is you are the only person that can make the decision for yourself, and it is your own life, but keep in mind that your family loves you and your friends love you, and everybody who is your support in life wants the best for you. So it might feel like storm clouds raining on your parade, but don't totally ignore them, don't totally shove them away. They really want what's best for you, and while you know yourself and you know what you want, like, they can't know that for you. They also want you to be happy, and maybe they're seeing things that you aren't seeing because you're so caught up in other aspects of your relationship. Maybe you're not seeing the things that might trip you up, and maybe this relationship isn't the best one for you. So it's just something to keep in mind. Something that we wanted to just throw out there, because you guys have like no background on us and where we're coming from. Neither one of our sets of parents promoted getting married young. Your parents married when they were how old? They're old.
Mid to late 30s.
They're
No,
old.
mid 30s.
Okay. And then my parents always told me, like, we don't think that getting married young is a good idea. We want you to like go do your own thing, figure out what you want to do with your life. They were not like advocating for young marriage. And we got married when we were 22.
Yep.
And that was right for us. And we'd grown up thinking that, you know, getting married older was maybe the right thing. So it's not like, we just wanted to let everyone know, you know, we don't come from backgrounds where we were like pushed into getting married young.
Right.
It was something that was kind of a surprise for us.
Something that was, yeah, it ended up being right for us because of the situation that came into our lives.
Yeah, we found each other and
here we are.
yeah, it just worked out.
Happily married.
Yeah. Sometimes things just work out like clockwork, and you know, like when things are right, it feels right. Like you know. It sounds kind of cheesy when people are like, oh, you just know when you find the right person, but like we dated people before and we could tell that like this was different. This wasn't, you have cat hair on you? We have cats. We could tell like it was a different thing, and like nothing ever felt forced. It just like we just were so compatible and it just worked. And
yeah,
it's kind of cool. And it's like, I mean, it really is like finding a best friend, and how like friendships, they just sort of happen, and you just get along and you have fun hanging out, and it's just, yeah, it's like a sleepover every single night with your best friend, and it's so much fun.
Aww.
Aww. Speaking of which, that brings us to our very last point, and it's not really like a question to ask yourselves. It's just something we want to like throw out there. That a lot of our friends, even though we weren't the first in our friend group to get married, we were one of like the first.
We're pretty early on.
We're pretty early. A lot of our friends still aren't married. But all of our friends seem to think that, you know, getting married means babies.
Lots and lots of babies.
And we have fur babies, and that's about it for now. There's one of them. Oh, say hi, Merly. Oh, do you say hi? He looks so thrilled. I'm baby crazy, but I get my fix other ways. I babysit and I volunteer in a nursery with babies, so I can kind of like see them for a short amount of time, get my fix, and then we don't need to, you know, bring that home.
That's also her other huge Pinterest board besides her wedding one.
Baby stuff. Yeah. Anyway, you don't need to have kids right away when you get married. Even if, I know there's lots of different points of view on contraception or no contraception. Even with that, there are options for people who don't want to use contraception. We personally don't share that view. We just do what's right for us, and we currently don't feel like we want to have kids just yet. We're really enjoying just being married and being young and getting to share that with one another. It's really awesome. Right,
and that was, for us, that was part of our decision of when to get married, was the understanding that there wasn't going to be kids right away involved, and we had that discussion beforehand, and we decided to get married young as a means to have those however many years it ends up being together before we take that next step.
Yeah, for us, what we both wanted, which isn't what everybody wants, we both wanted to be married, and be married young and have years together where it was just the two of us. And for some people, that's not what they want at all. That doesn't appeal to them, and you know, like that's, I guess it's another question to ask yourself. It's another thing that sometimes people don't agree on, and sometimes people have a different vision for that. So,
but it's also going back to kind of just the idea of this video. People put off getting married sometimes because people do the whole, oh, I don't want kids yet, I better not get married yet thing.
just a conversation that you need to be having. Once again, we're reiterating, like, having conversations with your significant other about these types of things early on does not mean that you guys have to get married right away. But do start having those discussions, because it really is important to see what the other one wants. And it's just, yeah, it's important so that, you know, there isn't a big miscommunication and then all of a sudden you're married and you want totally different things. And yeah, so yeah. Well, we hope this was helpful at all. The main thing we wanted to do was just give another perspective. If there are things you want to do before you get married, then go out and do them if you have the means to do it. And if if you have the drive, go out and, you know, do what you want to do with your life. And then if you are young and you have found the right person and you've had those discussions and you have really seriously thought about it, then maybe you're ready to get married, and it's really an awesome thing. It's different for everybody. Only you can know. So don't feel pressured from the things you read on media, social media, or blog posts. Please don't feel pressured by your family and friends. I know a lot of people feel like their family expects a certain thing of them, or their friends expect a certain thing of them, depending on who your friend group is. It's exciting that you have all these choices on what you can do with your life, who to do it with. Maybe you want to go it alone for a long time. One of our cousins is, how old is she? 38?
Something like that.
Unmarried, loving life, doing her thing. That's awesome. I personally would be miserable, but she's like, that's what she wants to do, and she's like thriving and having fun. So, you know, there's no one right way to live your life.
Yeah, I think that about wraps it up. We'll see you guys next time on Breaking in the Nest.
Yeah. Bye, guys.